Hello. Over the past few days, I've been celebrating the launch of my new book, Bee's Witch, a ghostly coming-of-age story. A huge thank you to all of those who were able to make any of the in-person events that I had. We had a launch meal at Mother Shipton's Inn.
I dart onto the road that leads across the bridge. On the far bank is an inn. It's cottage-like, covered in ivy, hanging baskets flanking its windows. I hear people laugh inside.
Guided walks and readings at Mother Shipton's cave, where the book is set. A lounge gig at my friend's house with plenty of wine. Cheers! And a signing at the local bookshop Castlegate Books, which was introduced by the local town crier.
Oh yay! Oh yay! A special event today in our town. A book signing by Daniel Ingram-Brown. I know this will go without a hitch. Introducing his latest book, Bee's Witch.
So a massive thank you to everyone who made one of those events or popped into the signing. A big thank you to everyone who has read the book, who's reviewed it, and who's bought it and helped to make it a #1 Amazon bestseller. So this is for all of those of you who live further afield and aren't able to make the in-person events. At my online launch, we're going to have coming up the book trailer and then a special reading from Mother Shipton's cave. And then I'm going to answer a couple of questions that people have asked me online about being a writer, about Bee's Witch. If you've got questions that you'd like to ask, please leave them in the comments and I'll reply to them there. And of course, if you want to buy the book, I will leave the link to the book in the comments as well, or on in my bio on my Instagram profile. But for now, enjoy the book trailer of Bee's Witch, a ghostly coming-of-age story, and then we'll go straight over to Mother Shipton's cave for a reading from chapter 1. Bee's Witch, a ghostly coming-of-age story. Chapter 1. It's been 7 weeks, 3 days and 5 hours since I was forced to leave the place I called home. Time feels like a rock in my belly. I wish. What do I wish? My hand's cold. I can't concentrate. I'm holding it in a pool of freezing water. The sign says it's a natural wishing well fed by magical waters. Make a wish within this well, it says. Give your hand but never tell. There are rules. Use your right hand, make your wish, let the water dry naturally on your hand. Don't wish for money, don't wish harm on others, and keep it secret. Stupid. The pool is carved into the side of a rocky passage, tucked behind a waterfall they call the Petrifying Well. It's damp in here and I have to stoop, making my back ache. It's all part of a tourist attraction called Mother Shipton's Cave. There are woods stretching along the side of the river, hiding this pool, the waterfall and the cave. Denise brought me here. I didn't want to come. They say Mother Shipton was a witch. Wish, wish, wish. Wind blusters down the passage, making me shiver. Somewhere above, a jackdaw caws, its harsh cry echoing along the rock. I wish it would shut up. I can't think. What do you wish? It cries out again. It knows a storm is coming. Storm Alley. I heard it on the radio this morning. I imagine Prince Alley from the Disney film, but giant, made of swirling dark clouds, looming over us, flicking a genie-like tail. I hate Disney. Think, Beatrice. What do you wish? I wish I could concentrate. My palms flapped against the bottom of the pool. The rock is worn smooth, cold and slimy. It feels weird to touch. Green light shines through the water, making my shadow look ghostly and misshapen, as if there's someone standing behind me. What am I doing? Usually, I wouldn't pay any attention to this sort of thing. It's for kids, and I'm 11, nearly 12, not a kid anymore. But something made me want to put my hand in the water. I don't know what it was, a feeling in my belly. I was going to walk away, but I kept looking back as if something was calling me, as if something almost whispered. Wish, wish, wish. Stupid. Wind whips mouldy leaves around my legs. They smell of decay. Drizzle has trickled under the edges of the sleeves of my coat. Summer's over. It's a new school year. A new school. A new home. I don't want to think about it. I wish. The cold stings my skin, but I push my hand down harder, holding it under the water. The light has changed now, blue. There are tourists chattering in the distance and the constant sound of dripping water. I wish. What do you wish, wish, wish? I flinch. What was that? Is Denise calling me again? She's always calling. I look round. No, there's nobody there. It's just the wind. The old iron lantern above me sways, creaking. I turn back, irritated, but despite feeling the whole thing is childish, my hand is still in the water. It's starting to go numb now. I'm about to pull it out when a Coke can clatters along the passage, making me jump. The ivy hanging from the rock flicks as if an invisible hand is brushing through it. The icy gust hits me and I close my eyes. What is it you wish, wish, wish? My eyes spring open. Who said that? There's nobody there. I'm alone. You have an overactive imagination. Everyone says so. I scrunch my eyes closed. What is it I wish? What do I want? I feel the light in the pool change again. Red. The dark spots behind my eyelids pulse, and I watch a shape form. It's familiar. a figure I've pictured many times. I see the strands of her hair appear first, writhing, Medusa-like, a swirl of energy. The strands are tangled and chaotic. She's like a torch, a flame. I feel my heart lift, her energy pulsing through me. She's the only thing that lifts me this way, the only thing that makes sense. Below her twisting hair, I see her body. She sits still and rooted, cross-legged, as solid as a tree anchored deep in the earth. I feel her stillness, her safety. It surrounds me. I breathe it in. Mum? She holds her head in her hands, the sleeves of her jumper pulled over her fists. Her eyes are covered, her head turned down. I want to burn with her, to be lost in that stillness. I begin to reach out. Mum? Bee! My trance is broken and the fiery-haired woman vanishes. Cold stings my skin again. Bee? It's Denise. I spin round, pulling my hand from the wishing well, embarrassed. Denise smiles. She's watching me just along the passage. You're making a wish. Her smile is perfect, her teeth whitened. Even in this wind, her hair looks like something from a catalogue. She's wearing vintage Levi jeans, white pumps and a St. James top with red sailor stripes. She's trying to look younger than her age. She must be at least 50. She's trying to be my friend. I don't want a friend. And I certainly don't want a new mum. I move to wipe my hands dry on my jeans. Oh, don't dry it, Denise interrupts. Haven't you read the sign? You have to let the water dry naturally, otherwise your wish won't come true. What does she think I am, 5? I shrug and move to wipe my hand anyway. But as I do, I realise it's clenched. There's something in my fist, something small and hard. I release my grip and look down. In the centre of my palm is a shiny £1 coin. I glance round. I must have taken it from the well. I didn't take it. Come on, Denise says. I want to show you something. I stare at the coin again, and something icy brushes the back of my hand, the ivy above swaying. My treasure. Thank you so much for those of you who asked me a question on social media about the book or about my writing. If you haven't asked a question and you'd like to, leave it in the comments and I will answer it there. But for now, I'm just going to answer a couple of the questions that were asked. The first one was from Divya, who has an Instagram blog called A Reader's Alley. And she asked when I first started to write Bee's Witch and how it first came to mind. So Divya, so I started to write it back in 2017, I think late 2017, early 2018. I started to write it for, I was doing a master's in creative writing and drama in education. And I started to write it for one of the modules for that master's. And the first scene I wrote, I think, is a scene where Bee runs away. And I had this image of her running through the forest. That's actually a chapter that's now in the middle of the book, but it was the first one that I wrote. And I continued to develop it for my MA. In fact, I created my main character. I created Bee's backpack. This is Bee's backpack. And I use sort of objects. There's loads of stuff in there that's sort of from her life, like her journal and her cuddly toy, and letters, things like that. Stuff that she runs away with that she's going to burn. And part of my writing process was using objects to think about the bits of her backstory that I wanted to tell, and also the bits of Mother Shipton's backstory that I wanted to tell. And in the book they sort of trade stories, and they realise that they have this connection across the centuries. So yeah, so for my MA I used objects to create story, plot and character. And then I've continued that process through into a PhD. So writing the book has actually been part of, is part of my PhD. The other parts of my PhD are sort of reflecting on that process, and then also using the book in schools to help young people to do their own writing around some of the themes that are addressed in the book. So yeah, so I guess I've had that sort of academic side. But in terms of where it first came to mind, I was walking along the river here in Knaresborough, and I knew I wanted to write about adoption. My son is adopted, so it's something that's really close to my heart. And I saw the sign across the river for Mother Shipton's Cave, and I was suddenly like, oh, Mother. Here's like a local legend who has the word mother in her title, and I wanted to write a story that was sort of about parents and children. So one of those things that suddenly just clicked, and I was like, I can use this legend to talk about adoption, being a child, moving to a different place, having to adapt to having a different mother. So yeah, so I had this idea from that I wanted to write a character who ran away and hid out in Mother Shipton's cave and encountered her ghost. And I was quite excited about this, and I raced home to tell my son the idea for the story. I wanted him to be happy if I was going to write about adoption. And I got home and I told him my idea for it, and he said, Dad, I wrote that a couple of weeks ago in school, and I read it to you. And I was like, oh yes, I remember you did read me a story. And he showed me the story, and it was about him running away and hiding out in Mother Shipton's cave. So I must have locked away this idea in the back of my head, and then as I was walking, suddenly I was like, I have this brilliant idea, my idea. But actually it's very much a shared idea. So I guess with all sorts of writing, you have an idea that comes from a different place, a different story, a piece of music, somebody you've met, and you sort of meld these things together into the story that you're writing. So yeah, so definitely it's a shared story, and partly it comes from my son and the story that he wrote in primary school. So the second question I'm going to answer now is from Lynn Pennington, who asked a question on Twitter, and she asked, if I have writer's block, how do I sort of deal with that? I mean, I guess I do different things. I'm a writer, I also work in schools, I do academic work, I'm also a theatre maker. So I guess one of the things I try to do is sort of get a sense of where my energy is at any particular time, and sort of work in that place. So, you know, if I'm not quite feeling the writing, I might even do some marketing, or I might do some stuff which is to do with my school's work. I try and find the place where I feel I've got that energy. So I guess one of my bits of advice is sort of not to beat yourself up if you're not writing every day or you're not feeling it every day. I know a lot of writers, you know, will write every day and they'll set aside a specific time. I do that if I'm in a writing phase. I'll often go down to the river in the morning and I'll write by hand, and then I'll come back up to my office at home, and then I'll type things up, and at that point I'll be editing. So I do have a bit of a discipline when I'm in a writing phase, and I guess at those points, if I get stuck, what I'll often do is I'll go for a walk. I need to move around, so I'll get up, I'll go for a walk, and as I'm walking, I'm thinking about the next scene. I'm maybe asking questions about it. I'm trying to imagine it in more detail. And then when I sit down again to write, usually I'm able to write again. But you know, some days you can't write. Do something else, do something fun. I think finding the fun in it is one of the keys. So yeah, I hope that is helpful. So again, thank you for those that asked a question. And again, if you want to ask a question, leave it in the comments. And of course, I'd love it if you want to buy the book and read it and let me know what you think of it. The link is in the comments or in my Instagram bio. But brilliant. Thank you for joining me today for this little online launch. I hope you've enjoyed it.